In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 9, 2023 and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Ball State versus Georgia. Ball State and number 1 Georgia get to know each other in an introductory matchup for the 2 programs on Saturday afternoon. The Cardinals got beat up at Kentucky 44-14 last Saturday. The top-ranked Bulldogs made easy work of Bud Martin on Saturday, 48-7, as they enjoyed their first 4 games of the season at home. Sanford Stadium will be rocking once again, with kickoff at noon and a 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms throughout. Let's start with Ball State. The Cardinals got rocked by Kentucky last week 44-14 in a game that saw Kentucky play not really well. Ball State actually ran 71 plays, but only managed 295 total yards. Nothing the Cardinals did on offense was working, and there is a legitimate chance that they do not score on Saturday. Ball State is still trying to figure out its quarterback situation, plus they have holes all over the field, and especially on defense. We all know what this game is. This is a paycheck for Ball State, and the goal is to give their kids a chance to play against the best while trying to get out of there without injuries. The Bulldogs, for their part, did not look great in Week 1 despite ultimately winning 48-7. The offense sputtered in the first half, the offensive line wasn't great, and there were lots of things that head coach Kirby Smart could target in practice this week. Given the lackluster start, I look for the Bulldogs to pile on the points in the first half, looking to build more confidence before beginning Southeastern Conference play next week. The Ball State Cardinals are expected to be in the bottom half of the Mid-American Conference. They were voted to place 9th in the Mid-American Conference in the preseason coaches poll. They were not able to cover in the opener, losing by 30 points against Kentucky, making this spread more than reasonable. Furthermore, Georgia is a national championship contender again this season. They had key injuries last week and were still able to win by 41 points. Top running back Dajon Edwards did not play last week but is expected to be ready for this one. Ball State had their freshman quarterback, Caden Simmons, see most of the action last week, and that is not ideal against this vaunted defense. The Dogs returned most key players on last year's defensive unit that conceded the 5th least points in the FBS. Also, the Cardinals' defense ranked 105th against the run last year, and Georgia returns 2 of their top 3 running backs on last year's squad. The Cardinals lost by 30 last week against a Kentucky team that doesn't hold a candle to Georgia. The Wildcats ran for 113 yards against Ball State but on only 20 carries. The Bulldogs' run game will absolutely bowl over the Ball State defensive front, and Beck should have a field day with lots of room to throw. Ball State lost to Tennessee by 49 points last season, and the Volunteers were not even ranked. The Cardinals, unfortunately, don't have anything on the offensive end that can remotely penetrate this intense Bulldogs defense. It will be tough for Ball State to move forward on offense, and I wouldn't expect that unit on the field much during this game. The Bulldogs are simply the better team by a fair margin, and if you're Ball State and you can get flattened by a Kentucky team that Georgia likely runs circles around, then this one could be over by halftime. The Mid-American Conference is expected to be one of the weakest conferences in college football this season, and we've already seen a couple instances of that with teams like Kent State against UCF and Ball State last week, and I think another Southeastern Conference opponent won't help matters for Ball State. Georgia is reloaded and ready to attempt a historic three-peat, while Ball State is expected to finish last in the Mid-American Conference. This is about as lopsided as it gets between 2 football bowl subdivision opponents. This is a huge number to cover, and there is little doubt that Georgia will dominate this game. The real question to ask in this one is if Georgia wants to cover this number, or if it will take the air out of the ball late. There is no reason the Bulldogs shouldn't cover though, if they feel like doing so. The slow Week 1 start for Georgia is what has me thinking it might go ahead and light up the scoreboard against Ball State. This is a huge line, but I see not other way to go here other than backing Georgia. It doesn't take much going wrong to miss a number this big, but I still like backing Georgia more than I like sweating Ball State to not get clobbered. So the Georgia Bulldogs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. It's unclear who will see most of the action at quarterback for the Cardinals, but Hatcher will likely split duties with Simonza. The Cardinals were able to collect a decent 223 passing yards against Kentucky last week. They have a potent running back in Marcus Cooper. The junior running back surpassed 13,000 rushing yards last season. In addition, the Georgia offense accumulated 559 total yards in the opener, and that was Beck's first game as the #1 quarterback. Kentucky was able to post 44 points against the Cardinals' defense, so I expect the Dogs to pile on the points. Also note that Georgia attempted 40 passes last week, and plenty of passes could result in quicker scoring drives. The over is 4-1 in the Bulldogs' last 5 games. I fully expect the Georgia run game to be in full effect in this game, and they have a two-headed attack that will trip up the Cardinals' defense. Beck and company will get things rolling early in the air, setting up a run attack that should be able to break for some big runs. So, the big issue here is, can Ball State contribute anything to the cause? They were able to get their passing game going and will need to rely on that if they hope to get on the scoreboard. Last week they used 2 quarterbacks and could go back to that strategy to keep the Bulldogs guessing a bit. I think that helps us here and allows the Cardinals to get some points, though maybe late in the game. If Georgia can put up 48 on Ed Martin, they can certainly do the same to Ball State. I expect a barrage of scoring. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Utah versus Baylor. Get ready for an electrifying showdown this Saturday at noon, as the 12th-ranked Utah Utes, with a massive showcase win on the opening night of Week 1, will face the wounded but dangerous Baylor Bears. The stage is set for a pair of backup quarterbacks leading their teams into a future Big 12 game. With both squads hungry for early season success, the Utah Utes aim to establish their presence in the Big 12 a year early after their non-conference drubbing of the Florida Gators from the almighty Southeastern Conference. The Baylor Bears were shocked in Week 1 by TJ Finley's Texas State Bobcats, but Dave Aranda, in his 4th season in Waco, has the chance to right the ship as their future Big 12 conference mate Utah. The number 12 Utah Utes are a complete team, even with the status of quarterback Cameron Rising in question for this one. They were able to beat the Florida Gators without the services of Rising last week. Rising is considered a game-time decision. Baylor was the victim of an upset in their season opener. They were 25-point favorites in a stunning home loss against Texas State. They won't have Blake Shapen due to a knee injury, as well as starting safety Devin Lemire. Quarterback play often plays a pivotal role in determining the outcome of a game, and with Shapen sidelined for several weeks, Baylor's offense could struggle to find its rhythm. On the other hand, while there may be some uncertainty surrounding Cam Rising's availability for Utah, his return would likely bolster the team's offense rather than hinder it, given his track record. When analyzing recent defensive performances, Utah's defense exhibited its prowess by frustrating a team of Florida's caliber. In contrast, Baylor's defense had difficulty containing Texas State, suggesting potential vulnerabilities. Furthermore, Baylor is clearly an unproven team after winning just 6 games last year. The Bears rely on offense, but Utah has an elite defense. It is one of the best in the country and a big reason they have won the Pac-12 in 2 straight seasons and are one of the favorites this year. The unit held the Gators to only 13 rushing yards in the season opener. The Baylor Bears needed a lot of things to go right this season to turn things around from their 6-7 record a year ago. So far, everything has gone horribly. Quarterback Blake Shapen went down with an MCL injury in the opener, and the Bears got embarrassed, losing as 27.5-point favorites at home against Texas State. Baylor is back in Waco again this week, only this time there's a substantial step up in the level of competition. Even without quarterback Cam Rising, the Utah Utes had a smooth start to the 2023 season, beating Florida 24-11 last week. Although I'm not too high on the Gators' offense this year, Utah's defense looked phenomenal. Similar to last season, Utah appeared to be much stronger against the run compared to the pass last time out. Baylor will have to change up its game plan with Mississippi State transfer Sawyer Robertson taking over at quarterback, and frankly, I don't expect he'll present much trouble for the Utes. Robertson went 6 for 102 passing with 113 yards and an interception against Texas State after Shapen went down. The sophomore has yet to start a game and has appeared only in the final plays of 3 blowout wins for the Bulldogs. At the time of writing, Rising's status is still in question, and even if he is cleared to play, it's likely we will see Bryson Barnes taking snaps. The walk-on earned a scholarship after his 2 for 18, 159 yards and 1 touchdown down performance in Rising's absence. With all things considered, this is a nightmare matchup for Baylor after getting upset by a team from down the road. I don't think this Robertson-led Bears offense will be ready for the Utes defense. I expect more than enough offense by the Utes against a Bears defense that surrendered 441 total yards against Texas State. Baylor is going to fall to 0-2 in this game, so the Utah Utes to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Utah opted for the run a lot more than pass last week, passing 23 times compared to 30 running plays, and the same will occur this week, especially if Rising doesn't play. In addition, the Bears' defense is a question mark early this season, but Utah wins games with the defense, not its offense. Utah wasn't particularly sharp on the ground last week, recording just 105 rushing yards. Baylor allowed an average of only 3.7 yards per carry on the ground against the Bobcats. The under is 5-2 in the Utes' last 7 regular season games. Baylor's offense struggled with Sawyer Robertson at the helm, and with their starting quarterback, Blake Shapen, sidelined due to an MCL injury, it's unlikely they'll experience a sudden offensive surge against Utah's formidable defense. Utah's defensive stars, including Cole Bishop and Jonah Ellis, have shown their ability to disrupt opposing offenses, making it challenging for Baylor to find their scoring rhythm. Moreover, Utah's own offensive output in their previous game against a competent Florida defense was limited to 24 points. This suggests that they may not rack up a high score against Baylor either. Given the combination of Baylor's offensive struggles and Utah's defensive prowess, along with Utah's recent performance against a solid defense, it's reasonable to expect that the total points scored in this game will likely fall below the 47.5-point mark. I expect a low-scoring game. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Notre Dame versus NC State. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish will travel to Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina to take on the NC State Wolfpack. The Irish are off to a fast 2-0 start, while the Wolfpack come in at 1-0. These teams last met back in 2017, and Notre Dame won that game at home by a score of 35-14. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on the North Carolina State Wolfpack in Raleigh. Notre Dame comes into this game 2-0 with wins over Navy and football championship subdivision Tennessee State. NC State is 1-0 with a 10-point win over UConn. This will be a good test for both teams, and although NC State is unranked, they have the potential of a top 25 team. NC State ended the season poorly last season with losses to Boston College, Louisville, and Maryland after starting the season 7-2, but did have an overtime win over their rival North Carolina. Notre Dame also had a disappointing 2022 for Notre Dame standards, but finished 9-4. This year they have a transfer quarterback from Wake Forest, Sam Hartman. Hartman has a 225.4 passer rating this season, although they haven't played much tough competition. But last season he was second in the Atlantic Coast Conference in completions, yards, and touchdowns. They will have a tough test on the road in this game, although they are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 road games. They are also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games and 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 games against Atlantic Coast Conference opponents. NC State is 2-9 against the spread in their last 11 games. These two programs have met only 3 times over the years, and Notre Dame has taken just one of the 3 meetings between these two, but it was the last one at home, 35-14 in 2017. They come in with a benefit in Hartman, who knows NC State very well, throwing for 397 yards and 2 touchdowns against them last season with the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest lost that game 30-21, and pressure forced Hartman to throw 3 picks. That is something I would not expect to happen here. Notre Dame's offensive line is a brick wall and gives Hartman ample opportunity to, at the very least, not make too many costly mistakes. NC State's offense relies heavily on their quarterback, and the Irish defensive backs will be able to at least shut down Armstrong's air attack. The Irish had a great defense last year, but an inconsistent offense kept them from competing for a national title. Now they have a powerful ground game and one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in Sam Hartman, so you can bet that the Irish will not take their foot off the gas here. They know that they have a shot at the playoffs and can't afford to look past anyone. Notre Dame is off an easy win against Tennessee State, and they have just Central Michigan on deck, so there is no reason for them not to be focused in this one. Notre Dame has strong edges on both sides of the ball, and they have a massive edge at quarterback. I didn't like what I saw from NC State against UConn, as drives for the Wolfpack just kept stalling out and UConn simply couldn't take advantage, and even at home, you can't have drives like that against Notre Dame. Sure, this Notre Dame team has been prone to lapses in the past, but Hartman's an experienced quarterback that has experience playing in Raleigh from his time with Wake Forest. The Notre Dame defense will shut Armstrong down while the offense puts up enough to take care of business in this one. With the addition of Hartman, I believe that Notre Dame goes into NC State and wins this one by 10 to 14 points. So the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Yes, the Irish have a strong offense this year, but we cannot discount their defense, which has a chance to finish in the top 10 in the nation. Notre Dame has allowed just 162.5 yards per game so far and 6 total points in their 2 games and will be facing an NC State offense that did not look good against UConn. The Wolfpack put up just 24 points, which was their average a year ago, and I cannot see them getting more than 14 in this one. The Notre Dame offense put up 98 points in their first 2 games, but it will not be that easy for them in this one as the strength of the Wolfpack is their defense. NC State has allowed 20 points per game or less in each of the last 2 years, and this year's version looks just as solid. Notre Dame looks like they've picked up right where they left off on the defensive end, and it appears they've solved the issue at quarterback with one of the most experienced players in the nation in Sam Hartman. The former Wake quarterback struggles in this matchup may raise eyebrows, but he's in a different and arguably better situation with the Irish, so we may see different results. The margin feels a bit stiff for a road spot with Hartman's history in Raleigh, so let's lean on the defenses here. Notre Dame will break through that defense here, but for no more than 27 points. This one stays well below the total. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.